What is up, everybody? Louis back here again for UFC 289. Amanda Nunes taking on Irene Aldana for the 135 women's bantamweight title. Can Amanda Nunes get another win, or is it somebody else's time? That's the main question here. We'll see. Should be interesting. But the real stars of the show, the co-main event, 155 pounds men's lightweight. Charles do Bronx Oliveira taking on Beneil Dariush. I guess you could argue it's for number one contendership either way. I think if Beneil beats Charles, hopefully he gets a title shot against Islam. Who knows what's happening with McGregor, and who knows what's happening with Gaethje and Poirier winner. And Charles Oliveira, if it's impressive enough, they might give him a rematch right away. Probably not, but you never know. But I need to see this fight. And then my personal favorite, I've been on the train of Mike Malott. I'm excited for him. He looks like Sidney Crosby. He's an exciting fighter, 2 first-round finishes. He's putting Canada on his back. He's in the feature fight against Adam FUGITT. We'll see, man. Maybe it could be one of those exciting fights you don't expect much from. And then the fans' main event of the night, 145 pounds men's featherweight, Dan 50K Ige taking on Nate the Train Landwehr. I hope you like violence. That's going to be violence. That's a banger, as the kids say. And you got Marc-Andre Barriault on there representing. And then the prelim main event, Chris Curtis taking on Nasruddin Imavov. That's another fun one, man. I think they messed up. I think Chris Curtis should be on the main card. I think they should have done Anders and Barriault on the prelims, but it is what it is. I get it. They want people to get intrigued for the pay-per-view. So, and then you got Miranda Maverick on there, who I've been on for a long time. So it's exciting. Only 11 fights on the card. Perfect amount, in my opinion. Let's get right to it. First fight of the night, 115 pounds, women's strawweight. Diana BELBITA taking on Maria Oliveira. BELBITA took on Gloria DePaula her last fight. In the first round, she landed a nice left hook to the body and then an overhand right in the pocket exchange. But then she was eating some counter jabs on her way out. But then she was landing a jab but an overhand right at range. Then in the second round, she jabs. She lands some overhands, but then she would get countered with a 1-2-3 combo in the pocket. And then she got clinched to the fence at the end. Then in the third round, she got taken down with a body lock, but then she's able to get right back up. They get into a clinch battle, and they're both kind of going back and forth, landing some knees to the body. So decent defense there at the end of the fight. And then Maria Oliveira, she took on Vanessa Demopoulos her last fight. In the first round, she's looking for some counter jabs and some straight shots, but then she gets taken out of the blast double, which kind of standing at range, not aware of the impending danger of the double leg from Vanessa. And then in the second round, she landed some front kicks. She's able to push her down, get her to the ground, but then she gets back up, and then she gets dropped with the overhand right toward the end of the round. Then in the third round, she landed some front kicks. She's able to cut off the cage, land some nice straight shots, and she lands a lead right hook from range. But then she walked into a couple straight right hands from Demopoulos, and then she gets knocked down, but then she's able to land a flurry on the fence. Sorry, she had her hands down, got hit with the straight right, but then they kind of get into a firefight. She's able to land a flurry on the fence there, so decent ending for her, but just looked a little sloppy. Maria Oliveira plus 100, Diana BELBITA minus 120. I don't know. Diana BELBITA's from Canada. She looked okay. I think, like, Diana BELBITA's not a wrestler, but Oliveira has no wrestling defense, so if BELBITA can get any takedowns going, I think that'll help her. And, you know, I think maybe Diana does better in the pocket. I don't really know, but I'm going to go with Diana BELBITA. You know, low-level women's, who knows. Second fight of the night at 125 pounds men's flyweight, David DVORAK taking on Steven Erkberg. DVORAK is actually ranked. He didn't get knocked out, but he got beat by Manel Kape his last fight, so he's like bottom of the rankings, 12 or 13 or something like that. And Steven Erkberg is coming in on a few days' notice. So this was supposed to be Matt Schnell, so that would have been a banger. But yeah, Erkberg's got a lot to earn here. David DVORAK took on Manel Kape his last fight. In the first round, he circles along the outside. He's able to catch the kick, and he gets the body lock takedown. But then he gets reversed with a Kimura attempt, and it's a pretty deep Kimura attempt. And Manel Kape almost finished it, to be honest with you, but the round ended. Then in the second round, he eats a left hook from the pocket inside the clinch, but then he gets rocked with a knee to the body and then a right hook. Whenever he's crashing into the pocket, then he gets dropped with the left hook to the body and then a right hook to the head combination from Manel. But then he eats some body shots and he tries to go for the RNC off of the spinning elbow from Kape. Can't quite get it. Time runs out again. But then in the third round, he starts pressing forward with some jabs and some straights, but then he gets countered with some short hook and a couple leg kicks from Manel Kape. So, decent fight. Manel Kape should have finished that fight a couple times. DVORAK's very tough. And then Steven Erkberg, he took on Soichiro Hirei. outside of the UFC. In the first round, he's able to stuff the single leg attempt, and he takes his back standing, and he's able to drag him down on the mat, gets a figure 4 rear naked choke submission. Nothing really to it. Then before that, he took on Paul Loga. In the first round, he eats some right crosses at range. And whenever he's coming in, though, then he's able to drop him with a step-in left hook. Gets a knockout with a 1 punch. So, yeah, this guy's kind of hard to read, to be honest. And then he had a 3-round fight. He won by decision. But, yeah, I don't think this fight's going to go very long, to be honest. But Steven Erkberg, plus 225. And David Dvorak is minus 265. I mean, obviously, I think David Dvorak, you know, he's got the experience on his side. And the guy's coming in on 2 days' notice. It doesn't really help. But, yeah, man, we've seen last week that guy that beat Jamie, sorry, I forget his name, but he beat Jamie Malarkey on 2 days' notice. He knocked him right out. So that whole thing of, like, oh, he's only on a couple days' notice, I don't know, man. That actually might be a benefit somehow because they have nothing to lose. So, real quick, I like the under 2.5 rounds plus 135. It's a flyweight fight. And also, Erkberg, he's going to have to get a finish to get a victory, I think. Dvorak's hard to finish, but that's okay. I'm just going to go for Erkberg just based off the value. There was a big upset last week, a guy with a couple days' notice. So, Steve Erkberg, he's got knockout power, man. You know, it's not like he's going to split decisions every time. He's sleeping people. So, I'm going to go for Erkberg. Why not? We'll see, man. And then go with the under as well. Third fight of the night, 145 pounds, men's featherweight. Kyle Nelson taking on Blake Bilder. Nelson took on Doo-Ho Choi his last fight. The return of Doo-Ho Choi. In the first round, he eats a front face kick, but then he's able to get the body lock lift. He tries to go for the rear naked choke, but then he slides off. And then he ends up, and then he gets put in side control for the rest of the round. And then in the second round, he rocks him with a lead right hook off of his leg kick. But then he walked into a couple leg kicks. He's a little too short with his overhands and his hooks, and he's just kind of throwing at range, not hitting anything. Then in the third round, he gets the underhook to the knee pick. He's able to take the back standing, drag him down to the mat. And then he stays on the double leg, try to keep him down. But then he gets pancaked into full guard. And then back on the feet, his single leg attempt gets stuffed. And then he eats some body shots. So, yeah, I don't know. He looked okay. He just a little desperate with those takedowns. And also, he hit him with Ori Lang hit him with a headbutt on the ground. So they took a point away. But honestly, that fight was a draw. Kyle Nelson should have lost, in my opinion. And then Blake Bilder, he took on Shane Young his last fight in the first round. He circles on the outside, pumps leg kicks, and he catches a leg kick. And then he gets a double leg takedown off the fence, right into half guard. Doesn't do a ton of damage, though. But then in the second round, he circles along the outside. He shoots, but it gets stuffed. But he's able to land a knee off of that, though, so that was good. He's looking for a follow-up attack. And then he landed a lead left hook and with a plum-tied knee. And then he has the whizzer. He's able to stuff those takedowns with the whizzer. But then he eats some overhands over top of his jab counter. Then in the third round, he eats a counter overhand. His double attempt gets stuffed again, but then he lands some straights and some lead hooks at range. And from range, transitioning to the pocket, but then he eats a couple short counter hooks, but then he's able to separate from the pocket, and he rocks him with the right cross at range. Finally found his range there at the end of the fight and hit him with a big shot. Blake Bilder, minus 245. Kyle Nelson, plus 205. I like Blake Bilder here. Kyle Nelson's on a 3-fight losing streak. Blake Bilder looks like he hits pretty hard. Kyle Nelson doesn't do well with damage. Bilder's going to be on the wrestling attack. I think he'll be able to get a couple of his takedowns at least. Kyle Nelson fades a little bit at the end of the fight. The line's a little wide, but I'm going to go with Blake Bilder here, minus 245, the local guy. Fourth fight of the night at 135 pounds, men's bantamweight. Amin Zahabi taking on Ori Lang. Zahabi took on Ricky Tercios his last fight. In the first round, he's landing some leg and some body kicks at range. He's able to stuff a single leg attempt and land a couple counter hooks off of there, back on the feet. And then he's able to back out of range of the kicks, starts landing some more jabs. Then in the second round, he kind of pumps leg kicks and he circles on the outside. And then he was looking for the counter with the overhands. And then he lands a left jab into a hook. And then in the third round, he was jabbing, landing some leg kicks, circles on the outside. He keeps his high guard. He's able to block most of the blitzes and just kind of avoid damage. And yeah, pretty solid win for him. And then Ori Lang, he took on Jay Perry in his last fight. In the first round, he landed a nice counter right cross, which rocked him. Then he landed a left hook in the pocket. Then he landed a left uppercut, and then a straight right inside the pocket again. Then he's able to complete the double leg takedown off of the fence. Then in the second round, he landed a jump knee, and then a 1-2, and then a leg kick. His gets caught there, and then he gets taken down. But he's able to use the wall to get back up. Nice wall walk, and then he rocks him again with a counter right cross over top of the jab in the pocket. Then in the third round, he lands some counter uppercuts in the pocket, but then he gets clinched to the fence off of that. And then he landed a leg kick and a right cross, and he backs out of range, but then he gets pressured in the clinch, and he gets taken down with the double leg again, but he's able to get up relatively quickly. And then at the firefight, and then he gets a couple left hooks at the end there. Gets a little wild, a little reckless, but... And then Avery Lang, minus 120, Ayman Zahabi, plus 100. Another tough one, another close one. You know, the line's basically even. I kind of like Avery Lang. Ayman Zahabi, he beat Ricky Tercios, but Ricky Tercios like didn't really do much in that fight. And I don't know, I think Avery Lang's got more experience. I think he hits a little bit harder. Yeah, it's a tough one. I just watching the tape, I just like Avery Lang a little bit more, to be honest. And yeah, the Mongolian Murderer. So yeah. He's fought some good guys, fought Cody Durden, fought Jeff Molina. Didn't win, but, you know. Tough one. I just think Avery Lang's going to be able to land a little bit more volume, might be able to land a little bit harder, and, yeah, might be able to get a takedown here or there. I don't know. I'm going to go for Avery Lang, though. We'll see. Who knows, man? I don't know. And then, let's see. I don't remember what fight it is. Fifth fight of the night, 125 pounds, women's flyweight. Miranda, Fear the Maverick, taking on Jasmine JASUDAVICIUS. I've been excited for this one. I've been watching Miranda Maverick ever since her first UFC fight, and then she fell off the path a little bit against Macy Barber and Erin Blanchfield, but they're pretty good. Macy Barber is iffy. Well, yeah, this is a pretty big fight. Miranda Maverick's number 15. Jasmine JASUDAVICIUS is trying to get in there. Miranda Maverick's trying to climb the ladder again. Maybe get a rematch with Barber, who knows. But yeah, it should be a fun fight. Miranda Maverick took on Shanna Young her last fight. In the first round, she pressures forward with some jabs, but then she slides and it comes right into the cross, eats it, but then she backs out. Then she landed a jab and then a head kick to the body lock, completes the outside trip, and then she works to the back, gets the back mount, lands some ground and pound. Then in the second round, she gets a blast double off of the kick right into half guard. She's able to take the back. She's a little too high, and she's not able to get the other hook in. But then she gets a single into the clinch against the fence, gets the outside trip right into full mount, and then she's able to get back mount. So yeah, she's doing pretty good at that. Gets a lot of back exposure. Then in this third round, she lands a left hook to a jab. She gets a double to the fence, and then she's able to take it out with the inside trip. She's able to take the back, gets one hook in, lands some nice ground and pound, and then she tries to go for the power half, tries to get the rear naked choke. Can't really get it, but she stays busy, and she's working for a choke the whole time. So yeah, not a ton of ground and pound, not as much as I would like, but she's staying busy, trying to work for a choke. So, and then Jasmine JASUDAVICIUS took on Gabriela Fernandez her last fight. In the first round, she looks for some right crosses, but she eats some overhands when she's entering in the pocket. She gets a body lock against the fence, and then she's able to complete the back chirp right in the half guard. Then she's able to get side control. Doesn't land a ton of ground and pound, so that's a negative for me. But then in the second round, she eats some short hooks in the pocket, but then she's able to rock her with the right cross. She gets the double to the body lock. She's able to complete the back trip again. Gets into a crucifix position, lands some elbows. Really good stuff, but not enough time left in the round. But then in the third round, she gets clipped with some jabs and some kicks, but she's able to keep pumping her jab. She stalks forward, gets a single leg off the fence right into half guard, lands some ground and pound, turns it up a little bit, gets a nice dominant victory. Both ladies had dominant victories in their last fight. Jasmine JASUDAVICIUS plus 225, Miranda Maverick minus 265. Yeah, I think I like Miranda Maverick in this fight, but when you take the odds into consideration, Miranda Maverick should not be minus 265. Jasmine JASUDAVICIUS, she is very aggressive and like dead set on getting those body locks, and she's gonna get on that body lock until she rips you to the ground or until you escape her. So she's very tenacious in that regard. Miranda Maverick, I don't know if her striking's quite up to par. I think Jasmine JASUDAVICIUS might be a little cleaner on the strikes. They're both kind of sloppy, to be honest. And Miranda Maverick's big thing is her wrestling. And Jasmine JASUDAVICIUS' wrestling is kind of right there. I would say Miranda's a little bit better in the wrestling department, but Jasmine JASUDAVICIUS has got to have decent defense, and she's used to taking people down as well. And for this price tag, I have no choice but to go Jasmine JASUDAVICIUS. You know, it sucks. I like Miranda Maverick. She might be my actual pick, but honestly, the matchup's relatively close, and if you're going to add this value onto it, I got to go Jasmine JASUDAVICIUS. Just for the value alone. If it was an even fight, I might go Miranda Maverick, but I got to go Jasmine on this one. Main event of the prelims, 185 pounds, men's middleweight. Nasruddin Imavov taking on Chris, the Action Man Curtis. Should be fun. Nasruddin coming off a loss to Sean Strickland. Chris Curtis coming off that controversial loss to Kelvin Gastelum. Curtis is like number 15, I think. Nasruddin's like number 12. So Chris Curtis looking to climb the rankings a little bit. Maybe the UFC gave him another chance to get up the rankings. And Nasruddin's looking for a nice bounce back win. Should be fun though, man. Both guys come to scrap. IMAVOV took on Strickland's last fight in the first round. He landed some stepping left hooks and then an overhand right. He just kind of hangs on the outside at range. Then he gets clipped with an overhand when he's coming in towards Sean. And then he gets pressure with some straights and some overhands. But then he misses with some big overhands, gets a little wild, gets a little sloppy. Then in the second round, he eats a 1-2 in the pocket, and then he gets clinched by Sean. But then he's able to slip the overhand, lands a 1-2 inside the pocket. Then in the third round, he lands some counter hooks off of an overhand in the pocket. But then he eats some jabs, then he gets pushed back at range from Sean. That was a 5-round fight, but Nasruddin did not look good in the 4th or 5th round. But this is only a 3-round fight. Chris Curtis took on Kelvin Gastelum in his last fight. In the first round, he lands a 1-2 off of a leg kick, but then he eats a 1-2 while he's loading up with his hook. He stalks forward, he eats some jabs and some straight shots though, and then he lands a jab and a right hook to the body, but then he eats a 1-2 standing at range. Kind of has his hands down a little bit, which is rare. He usually keeps it a high guard. Then in the second round, he lands a right hook off of a leg kick, and then he rips the body with a nice nasty uppercut. But then he eats a headbutt, gets dropped, eats a ton of ground and pound. That sucks. But he's able to get back up. And then from there, he eats overhand left when he kind of has his hands down. He's stalking forward. But then he's able to land a right uppercut to the body again. Then in the third round, he eats some jabs when he's coming forward. But he's able to land a short hook, some short hook counters in the pocket. And then he lands some lead right hooks, kind of pressing forward at range. Then he digs to the, rips to the body and lands some uppercuts to the head. So, yeah, he had a pretty strong ending. You know, he typically loses the first round. Second round, I thought was close, and a headbutt. Who knows what would happen without the headbutt. Third round, he turned on a lot at the end there. Hit him with some big shots. So, very good fight from him. Chris Curtis, plus 140. Nasruddin Imavov, minus 165. I'm going to go with Chris Curtis. First of all, I think he's a very good fighter. I think he's nasty in the pocket. He has really good takedown defense. Nasruddin Imavov didn't even try to take Sean Strickland down. And Chris Curtis is very hard to take down as well. So that's positive for him. I think they're going to be forced to strike in the pocket. I think Curtis is going to light the body up. He's going to hit him with some uppercuts from the pocket. I think he's going to hurt him. Also, Imavov, Sean Strickland just beat Imavov his last fight. Sean Strickland and Chris Curtis are training partners. They train together every day. I think that's a positive. Mix that all together with the underdog price tag of plus 140. I'm going with Chris Curtis here. Don't think about it. First fight on the main card, 185 pounds, men's middleweight. Mark Powerbar, Andre Barriault taking on Eric, your boy, Anders. This is just a fun one, I guess. Could be boring. Both guys just trying to get back on track here. Maybe make a run in the top 15, but Marc-Andre Barriault took on Julian Marquez's last fight. In the first round, he eats some jabs and some straights and some overhands coming in at range, and then he eats an overhand and some hooks in the collar tie position. But then toward the end, starts finding his range, finds some jabs and some 1-2s at range. Then the second round, he starts pressuring with some 1-2s right into the clinch. Then he's landing some lead left hooks. Then he lands some elbows and some uppercuts from the collar tie. And then he just goes wild, lands a flurry of uppercuts, hooks, you name it, elbows for a long-ass time because Marquez is tough. And then finally gets a standing TKO. So yeah, the power bar comes alive in the second round. And then before that, he took on Hernandez and just kind of got drained, to be honest with you. But Fluffy Hernandez is a monster, so I'll give him a pass. And then Eric Anders took on Kyle Dawkins' last fight. Mind you, Kyle Dawkins, 5 months removed from breaking his orbital bone. Take that for what you will. In the first round, he pressures forward. He eats some jabs and a knee, and he's looking for his own jabs. But then he stuffs the takedown attempt, and then he lands a knee to the body, drops him, and then drops him with a hook after that. Really nice combination from him, though. Then he lands a left cross, rips the body. Then he dropped him again with the left hook off of a low kick. So yeah, Anders does have some power. Then the second round, he defends a single, and he's kind of landing some hammer fists. And then he rocks him with an overhand left, and he stuffs a single leg attempt, and then he gets a TKO via ground and pound. Just kind of goes crazy on him. Kyle Dawkins just didn't move. So yeah, decent performance from him. Kyle Dawkins had a fall from grace, unfortunately. So I don't know. Anders looked pretty good, to be honest. Anders plus 110, Marc-Andre minus 130. I've been going back and forth on this one, but the line's not big enough for me to take the underdog. I think Anders looks good in the first round. I think Barriault kind of takes over. Now, Anders, when he took on the Iron Turtle, he did a good job of clinching, but he didn't do much from that position, and he lost the split decision. A lot of people think he won, but he puts himself in those situations to lose those decisions. And, you know, he said he wants to finish more people, but who knows. And then Marc-Andre Barriault, he just keeps getting better as the fight goes on. He opens up more, lands bigger shots. His conditioning almost keeps his conditioning through 3 rounds. It honors, if anything, he's pretty muscle bound. Gets a little tired after 3 rounds go on. So it's a tough one to call, but I'm gonna go with Andre Barriault, -130. Not a big difference there, but the whole fight to go over 2.5 rounds, -175. I think that's a safe bet, but I'm gonna go with Marc-Andre here. Second fight on the main card, the people's main event at 145 pounds, men's featherweight. Dan 50K Ige taking on Nate the Train in the UFC Landwehr. Dan Ige, number 13, Nate the Train unranked. Battle for number 13, I guess you would say. And yeah, Nate Landwehr, he is trying to make a run. The UFC is trying to market him. Dan Ige, first of all, his fight's going to be amazing. They both get down to scrap. They're both dogs. And I think that's kind of one of his easiest fights to get into the rankings. No disrespect to Dan Ige, but I think it's a winnable matchup for Nate the Train. 2 strikers. It was either that or Caceres. So, yeah. But Dan Ige, if he wins, you know, he gets some of the spotlight from beating Nate the Train. So it's a win-win for either guy. Should be fun. Should be very bloody and very violent. Dan Ige took on Damon Jackson his last fight. In the first round, he drops him with an uppercut and then a cross from the collar tie. Then he's able to cut off the cage. He lands some straights to the head and the body. And then he lands some step-in head kicks at range. He's able to defend the single leg attempt. And he's able to get underhook, gets his feet to the mat. And then he gets a double off the cage right at the end of the fight there just to do it. Didn't need it. 10 seconds left, but he's like, hey, I can wrestle a little bit. Then in the second round, he throws an uppercut to the clinch and then goes to the clinch on the fence. Then he lands left hook to the body and then the head from range. But then he gets cut off the cage when he's circling, but he's able to block the short hooks. But then he slides out of the hook range and he lands right hook to the body, left hook to the head, gets a knockout. Beautifully timed sequence. Dan Ige is very slick, got very good footwork, bounces around the ring. And then Nate Landwehr took on Austin Lingo his last fight. In the first round, he gets pressed to the fence and he eats some hooks, but he's able to land a short hook off of a hook blitz by Lingo. Lingo getting a little careless, but then he's able to duck the hook. He lands a nice counter uppercut, hurts him a little bit, and then he lands the head kick, but he gets pressed with some straights, but he keeps his high guard, blocks most of it, and then he presses forward with some jabs, and he lands a front kick, but then he eats a counter of hooks from him at the end of the round. But then in the second round, he lands some jabs and some front kicks, teeps to the body. But then he gets countered with the overhand when he's just coming in a little too much. But then he lands some head and some body kicks. He's able to cut off the cage again, and then he gets the body lock, drags him down to the ground, lands some nice ground and pound from around the back. And then whenever he goes up to block it, he sinks that rear naked choke in right away. He calls it the sucker punch rear naked choke. Gets a submission. Kind of clever, kind of brutal. Gets it done, man. Nate Landwehr has got a bit of a game everywhere. So, yeah, showing that submission to show a new aspect to his game. Nate Landwehr, +215. Dan Ige, -225. I think Dan Ige is the more technical guy. But Nate Landwehr has got a lot of power. Dan Ige, you know, he's very, very hard to finish. But, you know, he gets hurt. He got hurt in the Evloev fight. And, you know, this line just a little bit too off, in my opinion. +215 for Nate Landwehr. It's a little much. It's a little high. A little disrespectful, if I do say so. Now, wrestling, I don't know. I think Nate probably won't be able to take Dan down, but he's going to be able to mix it in there, at least threaten him with it, at least kind of slow him down a little bit there. But, you know, Dan can wrestle a little bit too. So, you know, I mean, they're kind of matched evenly except for the striking. Like, Nate's got the power, but Dan, he's got the cleaner boxing, crisper, and more efficient, I would say. But, you know, Nate Landwehr is a wild boy. He's got a chance. And Dan Ige, you know, it's possible Nate drags Dan into that dirty fist fight. So, I'm going to go with Nate the Train Landwehr here, man. +215. And even if I lose, it's going to be a fun one. There's a lot to win there. He's got a shot. I'm going to go with Nate the Train Landwehr. It's going to be a fun one, though, no matter what happens. Feature fight of the night at 170 pounds, men's welterweight, Mike Proper Malott, a.k.a. Sidney Crosby, taking on Adam Fugitt. I've been on Mike Malott since his debut. He's from Canada. I'm rooting for Canada to have, like, another champion or another top contender someday. So, he's gotten 2 first-round finishes in both his fights. And Adam Fugitt, you know, he's coming off a big upset over Kinoshita. So, should this be the feature fight of the night? No, it shouldn't be, but they're trying to give Mike Malott his spotlight. And, you know, I hope he gets it. Should be a fun fight here. Mike Malott took on Johan Lanise his last fight. In the first round, he lands a right cross and then a left body kick. And then he's able to duck the left hook, gets the body lock trip right into half guard, threatens the arm triangle from half guard. He's able to step over into the mount and then gets the arm triangle submission from mount. Pretty simple, man. Mike Malott said he's going to get it done in the first round, maybe. But yeah, 2 first-round finishes in both of his fights. And then Adam Fugitt, he took on Yusaku Kinoshita his last fight. In the first round, he eats a step and hook, but then he goes for the, but then he's able to clinch to kind of minimize the damage. But then he lands a right hook inside in the pocket exchange, but then he eats a knee, but then he's able to get the single leg. And then he finishes single leg, takes his back, and then he gets a couple mat returns, keeps him down there. And then he drops him with a straight left, and then he's able to take his back. He lands some nasty ground and pound around the back, gets the back mount, lands some nasty elbows, and just keeps punching him, gets the TKO. So, yeah, 2 guys I like to finish in the first round, 2 guys that are pretty nasty and pretty mean. So, it should be fun. Adam Fugitt, plus 175. Mike Malott, minus 205. The line's a little wide here, to be fair. But I can't explain it. I just like Mike Malott. I think should be fun, man. I think Fugitt's wrestling's a little bit better, but Mike Malott can wrestle a little bit too. He's got that body lock takedown. You know, we'll see how his wrestling defense is, but I don't know. I just like Mike Malott. Can't explain it. I think it's his time. It's a big spotlight in Canada. It'd be devastating if he lost. So, and Fugitt, like, he was a huge underdog in the Kinoshita fight, so take that for what it's worth. But I like Mike Proper and Malott. I think he can land some big shots, and I think his submission game might be a little bit better, so might be able to hit him with submission unexpectedly. If the fight goes more than a round, what's going to happen? I don't think it's going to go more than a round, to be honest. So, Mike Malott minus 205. But if it does go over 2.5 rounds, plus 210, maybe. But I don't know. It's just a wild bet to throw. But I just like Mike Malott minus 205. Just kind of got to eat the chalk on this one. The co-main event of the evening, 155 pounds, men's lightweight. Charles do Bronx Oliveira taking on Beneil Dariush. Can Beneil Dariush, please, for the love of God, get a title shot? Can Charles Oliveira make his way back to the championship again? Questions that need to be answered, but this fight is going to be violent. It's going to be scrambly, and it's going to be fun, and I'm here for it. You want both guys to win, so it's tough. But somebody's got to lose, man. Charles Oliveira took on Islam Makhachev his last fight in the title fight. In the first round, he walks into a cross and some wide hooks. He initiates the body lock with Islam Makhachev. Not a good move. And he gets pancaked. But then he hits a deep half sweep, passes a leg, gets back to his feet. He's able to get the body lock to the fence, but then he gets taken out with the hip toss, eats some ground and pound in full guard, but then he lands a nasty up kick that looked like it hurt, but Islam is Islam, so it didn't do anything. Then in the second round, he gets body locked to the fence, but he's able to keep the overhook and defend. Then he looks for some knees, and he's able to break free from there, but then he pressures forward with some wide hooks and some overhands, and then he throws a jump knee, gets dropped with the check hook from there, perfectly timed by Islam, and then gets submitted immediately with an arm triangle. So, I don't know, man. Oliveira looked like a little too reckless out there, looked a little panicked. It was a bad, horrible move to hit that jump knee. But, you know, that's how it goes, man. And then Beneil Dariush took on Mateusz Gamrot his last fight, his return fight after like a year and a half coming off of surgery. So, in the first round, he lands a body kick, and he's able to defend his single leg, scrambles, hits a couple leg passes, does not accept a takedown. But then his kick gets caught, and he gets taken down, but he leg passes, rolls under his legs, and then he has a leg lock. But he gives up his back standing, but he's able to get back up to his feet and break it eventually. But then he defends the double leg attempt, and he tries to go for the Kimura, and then he uses that to get to his feet, so pretty smart. Then in the second round, he pressures forward with some jabs. He lands a knee off of the single leg attempt, and then he pulls his leg out, says, "Get the fuck out of here." And then he lands some jabs and some overhand lefts. But his jab gets countered with a cross, and he eats a jump knee against the fence, but all good. Then in the third round, he stuffs a single leg attempt with some underhooks against the fence. Dude doing it the right way, I think. And then he drops him with an overhand left off of a body kick attempt by Gamrot. And that was it, man. You know, he hit him pretty hard, and you could tell he just won the fight there. So, Beneil Dariush, minus 150. Charles Oliveira, plus 130. How is this fight going to go? I don't know. But I just think Beneil Dariush, I think Charles Oliveira is probably the better jiu-jitsu guy, but I think Beneil Dariush might be the better overall grappler. I think he's going to be able to defend everything Charles is going to do. If Beneil would happen to drop Charles and gets on top of him, I don't think Charles is going to catch him in submission. I think Beneil Dariush is well aware that Oliveira is looking for a submission off his back. I guess it's relegated to a a stand-up fight, but how does that go? I think Dariush is a little bit cleaner on the feet. They're both wild boys though. They both throw wild stuff. So we'll just hope Charles Oliveira doesn't throw a jump knee again. He might, but if he does, I think Beneil's going to catch him like he caught Gamrot. It's a really tough one. I just think Beneil Dariush is a little more technically sound. He takes less chances, and you know, Charles Oliveira could drop Beneil on the feet, but I don't know. I just think Beneil's a little too smart, has a better IQ in my opinion. I really don't know how this fight's going to play out, but I just like Beneil Dariush, and he needs to get a title shot, and I think it's his time. And Oliveira's taken a lot of damage in all of his fights. Is it finally catching up? Who knows? But the line's pretty close, so I'm going to go for Beneil Dariush, minus 150, not bad. Crazy, stupid bet. Beneil Dariush by submission, plus 450. Probably not, but maybe. I don't know. I don't think he's going to knock Charles out, so who knows? Coming, the main event of the evening at 135 pounds, women's bantamweight, Amanda the Lioness Nunes taking on Irene Aldana. Is Amanda Nunes, is she the greatest fighter of all time? Maybe. Is Irene Aldana, is she going to be the 4th Mexican champion in the UFC concurrently? Who knows? But yeah, it was supposed to be Juliana Pena again. Juliana Pena had to pull out due to injury. Irene stepped in, relatively short notice, not super short, but kind of short. But yeah, man. Honestly, I'm not super excited for this fight. And Irene Aldana just kind of seems like the next woman up. But that's how it goes at bantamweight. Not a ton of women in the division. But it should be fun, man. I'm here for it, you know. If Amanda can get a win, she just adds to her legacy. And if Irene can win, it's huge for her and huge for Mexico. So, should be a fun ending. Amanda Nunes took on Juliana Pena her last fight. This was the rematch. In the first round, she lands some overhands over top of Juliana's jabs. She sidesteps, and then she drops her with the right hook, a check right hook, and then she gets pressed with a double jab and a straight right, and then she eats some jabs coming in, but it didn't really seem to affect her. Then in the second round, she drops her with the right cross off of a blitz 2 separate times. Okay, Juliana Pena, not known for ring IQ, but then she gets clipped with a straight blitz from Juliana, but then she's able to drop her with a check left hook again. And then in the third round, she eats a 1-2 at range, but then she's able to land a short counter right, and then she eats a lunge straight right, but then she's able to get the body lock trip, lands some nasty elbows in full guard, and then she's able to defend against the omoplata. And then in the fourth round, she lands a double off of a step-in jab. She gets caught in that armbar. It was pretty close from Juliana, but she's able to defend. She gets her leg over her head, and also she got helped. She was against the fence. If she wasn't right up against the fence, who knows? It was very close. But then she's able to get back up to her feet. She eats a right hook, but then she's able to get another body lock trip takedown. And that was kind of Juliana's moment right there. And then in the fifth round, she gets a double off of a blitz from Juliana. She defends the armbar again. She's able to threaten an anaconda choke. Doesn't really go for it, though. But then she takes the back, and then she goes for the neck crank. And it's kind of tight, but she wasn't really making an honest attempt to go get under the chin. So, yeah, but good fight for her. Came out more reserved, beat her over 5 rounds. You know, proved her point. Then Irene Aldana, she took on Macy Chiasson on her last fight. Chiasson missed weight, I believe. In the first round, she gets doubled and then clinched to the fence, but doesn't take any damage or anything. Able to defend decently. She stalks forward. She lands some leg kicks, and she's able to land a right cross up against the fence. She's able to stuff the double, and she has an armbar attempt. She's able to stuff the double with the armbar attempt, and she has it in kind of deep, but then she gets in, and she's able to get into side control, land some ground and pound there. So she's able to use the armbar to get a better positioning for herself, land some damage. So I like that. Just didn't sell out on the armbar. Then in the second round, she gets pressed with some straights and then a kick, and she gets doubled off the fence. And she tries to go for a leg lock scramble situation, but she looks for the heel hook. Can't quite get it. Macy kind of has her back, but Irene's sitting on her hips kind of. But then she gives up her back standing, and then she gives up her back standing up, and then she eats a couple elbows from that position. But then in the third round, she lands a right cross off of a jab, but then she eats a straight left in return. But then she walks into an overhand, and then she gets doubled. But then she gets taken down, and then she lands an up kick to the liver and gets a knockout over Macy Chiasson. Never seen anything like that in my life. So yeah, did she get lucky? Maybe. She got beaten up pretty bad in that second round. But yeah. It's a tough one to call, but you know, Missy Chasson, I didn't think she was very good, and you know, Irene looked good, but she looked like she had some trouble defending takedowns. Irene Aldana plus 275, Amanda Nunes minus 330. I like Irene based on the odds, but there's no reason for me to like think she's gonna beat Amanda. The only thing you could say is like Amanda gonna retire or not, who knows? And it's a main event, and it's women's bantamweight. Weird things do happen in both situations, but I don't know. You could say the same thing about Juliana Pena in the first fight. Like Pena, I don't think she earned a title shot either. So I don't know, man. I'm not trying to think about it too much. Plus 275 for Irene Aldana. It's possible. I didn't think Grasso was going to beat Shevchenko, but she was massive underdog. I bet her, and she got it done some way, somehow. So I guess I'm going to go with Irene Aldana. Watch Amanda Nunes prove me wrong and knock her out in the first round or something. But, yeah, you know, I just think Irene's biggest problem is going to be defending the wrestling. But Amanda kind of got away from her wrestling. The first 2 rounds of the second Pena fight didn't wrestle at all. So, but then after that, she gets the takedowns easier and easier. So hopefully Irene shored that up in her game. But, you know, she's got some takedown submission attempts from her back. So we'll see. And then, you know, in the striking, I don't know. I think Irene might be able to crack her a couple times. But, yeah, it's a tough one, man. Women's bantamweight's hard to predict, to be honest. So I'm going to go with Irene Aldana, plus 275. Why not? I'd rather be on that side of the fence. With the big dog money. The whole fight to go over 2.5 rounds, minus 135, I think that's definitely going to happen. So, I'm going to go with Irene. All right, everyone. Thanks for riding with me. Appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all that stuff. Check the link. Leave me some comments. Ask me questions. Give me advice. I'm always here for it. Did my research. Thought about it pretty hard. And, yeah, did okay last weekend. I want to do better this weekend. And I feel good about this one. Weird card, but I'm excited for it. Let's see some upsets, let's see some violence, and let's see some profits. Good luck, everyone.